You're welcome back to today's broadcast. Let's look what is going on right now in the country. As we used to say, the British, they are the problem of this country. They are the cause why Nigeria is not growing, and they are the cause why this issue of insecurity and a lot of them is happening, because whenever something serious or something bad is happening to any country they colonize, they will never rise up to speak against evil. Instead of it, they will keep combing evil and keep clapping for the government that is in power, so that they will have access to get whatever they want to get. So according to the headlines, what is going on right now? It says US official recognition of Biafra causes unprecedented fallout with British royal family, and King Charles' secret letter to Kanu sparked diplomatic crisis between London and Washington. So as it is, the King Charles, the one that is present right now, according to what is happening and what this Biafran activist is going to explain to us concerning the letter that King Charles sent to Nnamdi, begging and telling him to forgive and also to drop the Biafran agitation for peace to reign. In fact, a lot is happening. And then also the crashes between the London, that is UK, and Washington, which is America. You know, last year when they were speaking concerning American interfering with Nigeria, so the UK Prime Minister then came out and started saying that they will not allow America to interfere with their allies, to do anything with their allies, because they will not sit down and be looking America to do anything with their allies. All those things is part of it. They are very, very angry because Trump is interfering with their allies, which is Nigeria. And what is happening in Nigeria, it is something that will definitely comes into Nigerian division. In fact, just watch by yourself, then you will understand what is really happening. As about to watch, like, subscribe, and share for everyone to see things going on in the country.
Letter of leniency, that's for forgiveness, to have mercy on Kanu. But what is happening right now when America, Israel were putting pressure, for Britain to understand to the level that this current British Prime Minister, is, taking Biafra to. I am not even talking about King Charles, because I know that King Charles and his mother, they are the problem that Biafrans, had in the past, when they actually roped Biafrans that they are the one that started in the war. Even the current documentary by BBC is fallible. Britain just come telling people the whole world lies that the Igbo started the war. They have video, they have documentary well archived, how Britain sponsored Nigerian military clique under Gowon leadership with supply of sophisticated arms, spying, eliminating, exterminating Biafran people. So now they are telling us that is a Igbo man, the Biafrans that started the war. Britain should be ashamed of themselves. I don't care whosoever this current Prime Minister is doing, because I know that Benjamin Netanyahu and Trump in the past put pressure on Keskema. I don't understand. They then resigned the British Prime Minister to do the needful. Even King Charles, they were telling King Charles just the a very seeking alien, English king, Prince Charles, King Charles. So let me tell you, even right now we see United Nations, they even put pressure on Britain then. Britain was doing gara. Israel was much disappointed, as well as United States. But what is it right now that prompted this letter of leniency written by Charles? Clemency, to forgive and forget. When forgiving, are we forgiving Biafra or are we forgetting Biafra? All these are, let me tell you, lopsidedness, of the British, policy, ruthless policy over Biafran people. See, let me tell you, we are not doing that. If they give him leniency, good. Leniency is clemency. Clemency is pardon. We all know this grammar. But what we know is that Biafra is restored. No going back. Amazing and the Kanu coming out, we will take care of Kanu, give him befitting treatment. He will continue from where he was interrupted abruptly at Nairobi Airport, Kenya. He will be doing it the more. What about Mazanga and the other international body that put pressure on Britain? Even Mazanga currently with other Pan-Africanist secretariats in the Europe, they have stormed Britain over time and over time, confiding with the Britain that they are going to seize Nigerian assets, every asset that belongs to the federal government of Nigeria. And yet now, see, let me tell you, now letter of clemency from Charles has come too late.
Too late?
Yes, I'm telling you. Why?
Is this scared that Nigeria might collapse?
Nigeria must collapse. In fact, Nigeria is collapsing on a daily basis. Nigeria must collapse, and it is collapsing on a daily basis. Fast collapsing, not slow one. Oh.
But if African release, you think that this might, because
it will jettison Biafran restoration on alarming speed. Rapidity. It will be rapid. Fiam. Speed, lightning speed. So that's why I'm telling you that Britain is very stupid, because America and Israel told them, and we don't know who put pressure on Omar King Charles to write letter of clemency right now to Nigeria. Clemency over what? What has happened has happened. Biafran children that died many years, they are dead. None of them came back today. Kanu that went through all this painful ordeal, having such unequal fortitude to excel through, he suffered it. No turning back. So what do you mean of letter of clemency or leniency? It is useless. It has no meaning. See, let me tell you, it is high time we tell ourselves the truth. That Britain colonized Nigeria. Britain did not colonize Biafra. Britain has failed in all their plans to bring the Igbo man down. And this is their regret. They are regretting. That's why they are making noise. They are just making noise. But all I know is that the true pardon is overdue since it has come too late. Many are looking towards mechanisms, external mechanisms that will free Nnamdi Kanu from prison. External mechanism, United Nations, Commonwealth nations, United States of America, Jewish State of Israel, Canada, NATO, and all the governing bodies of the world. They are the one that should do it. Nigeria is a stubborn goat, and they hate Igbo with passion. Nigeria doesn't want Igbo man to breathe. Igbo man life matters. Igbo man life matters. And international committees are coming to do the needful. Letter of leniency. Britain will be happy. Buckingham Palace will be happy for Kanu's release. It is uncalled for. It is never done. And Nigeria will never do it. Nigeria is a stubborn goat. With Fulani Caliphate and hegemony, you think that Kanu, Tinubu will wake up one day and say, leniency. He has gone there over time and over time, pleading, giving money, giving bribe, paying Kanu money. Kanu rejected it. What are you saying? Pause. Never be happy. Never be happy. See Nnamdi Kanu out. Restoration of Biafra is a big nemesis, bad omen for the United Kingdom. That's why I'm telling you that it is external mechanism, forces that will come and do it here. Nigeria is very reluctant to do it. That's why you see, after asking for Kuje transfer is coming late. It's out of what? Due to reluctance. They don't want to do it. This wicked country, enemy of the Igbos, they don't want to do it. Do you know what it means to release Kanu? They can't. Yoruba man can never release Kanu. Yoruba man is wicked to Igbos. Very wicked to the Igbos. I have Yoruba man as my landlord. Yoruba man will be my landlord. No think say I'm a human being. Yoruba man will be my landlord. He's calling me my name, knowing fully well that I'm a married man with children. He treats me like I'm a small boy. So they don't love us. I don't even understand. Tinubu left Kanu in prison, releasing Igboho, his brother. Has the entire world not been singing and singing it? Why did you allow your brother to go and hijack Southwest Security Agency? Why not allow Nnamdi Kanu to go and hijack Southeast Security Agency if you know that you mean well for Nigeria or you are fighting against terrorism? Why allowing only your brother holding Igbo man? Tinubu is not looking towards that place because they are very wicked to the Igbos. I'm telling you, office of Asorok, tell me how many Igbo man that is there. Nobody. Everything there. Yoruba, 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 Yoruba. Oga, Biafra is overdue to go. And I'm telling you that when Nnamdi Kanu is released, sky do not even be our limit in the mighty name of our Lord Jesus Christ.
Okay, but Nnamdi Kanu once said that there will come a time where the Arab will take over Britain, and just recently we saw the Arabs now finally taking over their malls, taking over their sport, and everywhere in Britain. Do you not think they are regretting what
block road in London, all the streets of London, Muslims are parking their cars on the middle of road, spread their mats, started praying. Muslims are taking over everywhere in London. They have taken over now. You have many suicide bombers, knifers. You know what I mean by knifers? People that are using kitchen knife, this jackknife. The knifers in Britain are the same. They are Muslims. They ram their cars into mammoth crowd on the basis of where? At the base of River Thames Bridge, killing many people. Haven't you read about it? Suicide bomber have invaded Britain. Do you know what it's called? How this CNN tag their caption, their developing stories. Enemies within. Go and Google enemy within. The Muslims allowed by the British government has turned against Britain. That's the meaning of enemy Britain. Enemy within. Having their own network properly perfected on internet, media. They preach and preach, convert many British Muslims, many British indigenes to become part of them. Jihad Paul, don't you know about Jihad John? Jihad John, have you not heard about Jihad John? Jihad John can cut anybody neck anytime. You don't know? That Jihad John originated from Britain. You don't know? Jihad John is very heartless. Jihad John. Very, very heartless. They have been declaring wanted since. America is looking for him. Britain caused it because Britain is a very stupid country, enemy of the Igbos. Very useless, wrong throat country is Britain. Animalistic instincts of the Buckingham Palace to annihilate and exterminate the whole Igbos from 1967 to 1970. And God destroyed her plan. Buckingham Palace under Queen Elizabeth wanted the entire Igbo race exterminated, go into extinction. You people don't read history. Freddy Forsyth had it. If not that Freddy Forsyth wrote, my friend Chukwemeko Juku, the making of an African legend, the Biafran story, BBC would have documented that rubbish and be lying to the whole world. The current BBC doctor. God will punish you, Britain. God will punish you. Islam has taken over Britain. God will punish England. God will punish London. God will punish Queen Elizabeth family. Nonsense.
But do you not think that, you know, according to what, but do you not think, just like what Nnamdi Kanu said, give the Biafran seaport, give them airport, just like what the Yorubas are enjoying the Southwest? Do you not think that the British, you know, that if the Biafrans get what they want?
Okay, do you know what?
Do you not think that's how they will for secession?
British know that if we have international airport, seaport, we will be like Japan. Then again, Yoruba is an enemy of the Igbos. They are very greedy. They want Igbos to remain slaves. Don't you live with your landlord? See how your landlord will treat your family. They are haters of the Igbos. So it can't work. The only way is Biafra sitting away from Nigeria. That's the only way. If it could have worked, simple thing. Since 1970 now, we would have gotten like 2 seaports in Igbo land. Your government would like you to come here and clear your container and rob the whole billions for them. Greedy, selfish set of people. Britain the same. Fulani the same. Fulani has destroyed Nigeria. It's too obvious. You see how greedy, you see how archaic, poorly educated Fulani man is. Rearing and growing almajiri in the north. Yet, all their children are in London, in America, schooling. Why are you bringing Hausa man down? Hausa man is now carrying plates, begging. Babia, Allah, Babia, in their hundreds of thousands. Why not allow those Fulani, visit them and say, where are your children? Reintegrate your children into almajirism. Almajirism is only for the minor tribes and the Hausa, indigenous people of North. Fulani man is smarter. I don't even understand. And this is an ideology and policy, British policy, to bring the intelligence one, the one that are endowed with intelligence and the, science, let me say, and tech and creativity in Nigeria, the Igbo man. That's why they successfully put us at the position of 5th class abomination. People that in 1940s, 50s asking for universities for development of the entire Africa. Igbo started early now. You don't know? And you look at people that are holding us today. No, that is low level, less privileged, dullards. People that don't have intelligence. People that don't even get their school university certificates. Could any one of them reason? Quote an Igbo man reason under 3 seconds. We are better. And all of them are envious and jealous.
Okay, but do you think that if the Hausa and the Fulani, if they had this oil that the Igbo and Nata Delta have today, do you think that Great Britain have hated them this much as just like they hated the Igbo?
Yes. If say they have these minerals we have in Biafra land, Britain would have at least, use advantage of the Fulanis because of their low mentality and religious, bigotry. They are into religion. All that Fulani the Hausa knows right now is Muhammad and Allah. Britain would have used that as an excuse to hold them down, and British would have hold Nigeria till today. It's because the oil exploration started too late in the Niger Delta region. It started in 1958. 2 years to Nigerian independence. Then, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Tafawa Balewa them, Ejike Mbono, Anthony Enehoro, and Obafemi Awolowo, they had gone far on the business of agitation of, Nigerian independence. That's why they just left. I'm telling you the truth. And even they discovered massive lithium, diamond and gold in the north, Britain wouldn't have left. Britain is a bandit. Britain, all the colonialists were ex-convicts, prisoners. Most of them were dropped in Australia to manage the indigenous people of that continent, Australian Aborigines, Australian Bushmen. And they went there, they seized Australia, they enslaved the Australian Bushmen called Aborigines. And they went to New Zealand, seized that country as well. On gunpoint, Britain is a bandit, ex-convicts, they are criminals, they are prisoners.
The National Judicial Council commenced a formal review of the judgment delivered by Justice James Omotosho following concerns raised about the legal foundation of the sentence imposed in the case involving Nnamdi Kanu. The review was conducted strictly within the NJC's constitutional mandate to oversee judicial conduct and discipline judicial officers. From the outset, the NJC confined its inquiry to matters of law, procedure, and judicial responsibility. Issues outside judicial discipline, including political commentary or public reaction, were excluded from consideration. The Council's task was to determine whether the judge acted within the bounds of the law and the ethical standards expected of a judicial officer. The investigation identified a single controlling issue: the status of the law relied upon by the court at the time of sentencing. To resolve this, the NJC examined the judgment itself, paying close attention to the statutory provisions cited as the legal basis for the conviction and sentence. The Council then compared those provisions with official legislative records, including repeal instruments, amendments, and published gazettes. The outcome of this verification process was clear. The statute relied upon by the court had been abolished prior to the date on which the sentence was imposed. Under Nigerian law, Once a statute is repealed or abolished, it loses all legal effect. It cannot create offences, support convictions, or authorize punishment. Based on this finding, the NJC concluded that the trial court acted without valid jurisdiction in relying on the abolished statute. Jurisdiction is not a procedural technicality. It is the foundation of judicial authority. Where a court lacks jurisdiction, any decision flowing from that proceeding is legally defective. The Council emphasized that criminal jurisdiction, in particular, is strictly governed by the principle of legality. A person may only be convicted and punished under a law that is in force at the time of the alleged offense and at the time of judgment. This principle is entrenched in Nigeria's constitutional framework and reinforced by long-standing judicial precedent. The NJC further examined the professional obligations of judges in criminal proceedings. Judges are required to ascertain the current status of the law before applying it. This includes confirming whether a statute has been amended, repealed, or replaced. The Council noted that statutory repeals are matters of public record and form part of the legal materials available to the courts. The investigation also considered whether the error could be categorized as a mere mistake of interpretation. The NJC rejected this characterization. The issue was not the interpretation of a valid law, but the application of a law that no longer existed. In the Council's assessment, this distinction was critical. The NJC then reviewed whether the jurisdictional defect was raised or addressed at any stage during the proceedings. Courts possess inherent authority to examine jurisdiction on their own motion. Where a jurisdictional issue arises, the proper course is to resolve it before proceeding further. The Council found no indication that corrective steps were taken before the sentence was imposed. This failure to identify or correct the defect formed part of the NJC's assessment of judicial conduct. The Council considered whether the circumstances pointed to negligence, recklessness, or disregard for established legal requirements. While intent was not determined at this stage, the NJC concluded that the conduct met the threshold for prima facie gross judicial misconduct. Under NJC rules, gross judicial misconduct includes actions that undermine the integrity of the judicial process, violate constitutional safeguards, or demonstrate a fundamental failure to uphold the law. The Council determined that sentencing an individual under an abolished statute satisfied these criteria. The NJC also assessed the severity of the consequence arising from the conduct. The sentence imposed was life imprisonment, one of the most severe penalties available under Nigerian law. The Council noted that the gravity of the outcome heightened the seriousness of the misconduct and reinforced the need for formal disciplinary action. Having completed its investigation, the NJC reached a procedural decision. Informal measures, such as caution or reprimand, were deemed inadequate. The Council resolved that the matter required adjudication through its highest disciplinary mechanism. Accordingly, the NJC decided to convene a full disciplinary hearing. This step marked the transition from preliminary investigation to formal proceedings. At the hearing stage, the judicial officer would be afforded the opportunity to respond to the findings, present explanations, and address the Council on the issues identified. The NJC's decision to initiate a full disciplinary hearing was based solely on legal and institutional considerations. The purpose was to determine whether Justice James Omotosho remained fit to continue in judicial office in light of the established findings. With this decision, the investigation phase formally concluded. The matter moved into the disciplinary phase, where the NJC would consider the evidence, apply its rules, and determine the appropriate sanction under the Constitution and the NJC guidelines. Following the conclusion of its preliminary investigation, the National Judicial Council formally constituted a full disciplinary panel to hear the case against Justice James Omotosho. This action was taken in accordance with the NJC's constitutional mandate and its established disciplinary procedures. The purpose of the hearing was specific and limited, to determine whether the conduct identified during the investigation amounted to misconduct warranting removal from judicial office. Justice Omotosho was formally notified of the allegations against him. The notice outlined the findings of the investigation, including the determination that an abolished statute was relied upon as the legal basis for sentencing. The judge was afforded the opportunity to respond, in line with the principles of fair hearing and due process. At the hearing, the NJC panel reviewed documentary evidence, including the full text of the judgment, the statutory provisions cited, Official repeal instruments and gazetted records. Relevant constitutional provisions governing criminal jurisdiction. The panel's examination focused on objective legal facts, not subjective intent. The central question was not whether the judge intended to act unlawfully, but whether his actions complied with the law and judicial standards. The NJC reaffirmed a core principle: a judge's authority flows entirely from the law. Where a judge acts outside the law, the authority of the office is exceeded. The panel emphasized that reliance on an abolished statute removes the legal foundation upon which judicial power rests. During the hearing, the panel assessed whether the conduct could be excused as a technical error. The NJC rejected this characterization. It held that applying a repealed law is not an interpretive mistake but a jurisdictional failure. A court cannot exercise criminal jurisdiction under a law that no longer exists. The panel further considered the professional obligations imposed on judges. Judicial officers are expected to verify the current status of laws before applying them, particularly in criminal matters where personal liberty is at stake. The NJC found that this obligation is heightened where severe penalties are involved. The hearing also examined whether procedural safeguards were available to correct the defect before sentencing. Courts possess inherent powers to raise and determine jurisdictional issues at any stage of proceedings. The panel found no evidence that such corrective measures were taken prior to the imposition of sentence. In evaluating the conduct, the NJC applied its standards for gross judicial misconduct. These standards include acts that undermine the rule of law, demonstrate disregard for constitutional requirements, bring the judiciary into disrepute, result in unlawful deprivation of liberty. The panel concluded that the conduct under review satisfied these criteria. The use of an abolished statute to impose a life sentence was deemed incompatible with the obligations of judicial office. The NJC also considered proportionality in determining the appropriate sanction. Lesser disciplinary measures, such as warning or suspension, were reviewed. The panel concluded that such measures would be inadequate given the fundamental nature of the legal defect, the severity of the sentence imposed, the implications for judicial credibility. The panel emphasized that judicial independence does not shield judges from accountability. Independence protects judges from external interference, not from consequences arising from violations of the law. Maintaining public confidence in the judiciary requires that serious misconduct be addressed decisively. After deliberation, the disciplinary panel made a formal recommendation to the full council. The recommendation was that Justice James Omotosho be removed from office on the grounds of gross judicial misconduct arising from the application of an abolished law in a criminal case. The full council reviewed the panel's findings and recommendation. In doing so, it examined whether the disciplinary process complied with constitutional and procedural requirements. The council confirmed that the judge had been afforded fair hearing and that the findings were supported by the evidence. Upon completion of this review, the NJC adopted the recommendation. The council resolved that Justice James Omotosho could no longer continue in judicial office, as his actions were inconsistent with the standards required of a judge. The decision marked the conclusion of the disciplinary hearing process. The NJC's role at this stage was limited to judicial discipline. The council did not address the validity of the underlying conviction, as that matter falls within the jurisdiction of appellate courts. The NJC documented its decision and prepared the necessary instruments to give effect to the removal, in accordance with constitutional procedures. This action represented the final disciplinary outcome within the NJC framework. With the hearing concluded and the decision taken, the matter proceeded to its final institutional phase, implementation of removal and its implications for the judiciary, which would be addressed next. Following the adoption of the disciplinary panel's recommendation, the National Judicial Council proceeded to implement its decision to remove Justice James Omotosho from judicial office. This phase marked the conclusion of the NJC's disciplinary jurisdiction and the transition to institutional and legal consequences arising from the removal. The NJC's first step was formal documentation. A written resolution outlining the findings, the disciplinary process followed, and the final decision was prepared in accordance with constitutional requirements. This documentation served as the official record of the Council's action and provided the legal basis for implementation. In line with established procedure, the NJC transmitted its recommendation for removal to the appropriate constitutional authority empowered to give effect to such decisions. The NJC's role at this stage was advisory and disciplinary. Implementation followed the constitutional chain provided for judicial appointments and removals. Upon completion of this process, Justice James Omotosho ceased to hold judicial office. From that point, he no longer possessed the authority, privileges, or immunities associated with the bench. He could no longer sit, preside over cases, or issue judicial orders. The NJC's involvement concluded with the removal. The Council does not exercise criminal or appellate jurisdiction and does not determine the validity of judgments delivered by removed judges. Its mandate is limited to discipline and regulation of judicial conduct. The removal, however, triggered several institutional consequences. First, the judiciary initiated administrative steps to reassign any pending cases previously handled by Justice Omotosho. Matters not concluded were transferred to other judges of competent jurisdiction. This reassignment ensured continuity of judicial business and prevented procedural delays. Second, the judgment that formed the basis of the disciplinary action became subject to heightened scrutiny within the appellate system. While the NJC does not overturn judgments, its findings regarding the use of an abolished law introduced a material issue relevant to appellate review. Appellate courts retain exclusive authority to determine whether such judgments are void, should be set aside, or require further legal action. Third, the removal reinforced internal judicial compliance mechanisms. Courts reviewed procedures for verifying statutory authority, particularly in criminal matters involving severe penalties. Judicial officers were reminded of the obligation to confirm the current status of laws before reliance. From an institutional perspective, the NJC's action reaffirmed the distinction between judicial independence and judicial accountability. Independence protects judges from improper influence. Accountability ensures adherence to the law. The removal demonstrated that independence does not extend to actions taken without legal foundation. The NJC also clarified that disciplinary action against a judge does not automatically determine liability beyond removal from office. Any further legal consequences, including civil claims or criminal investigations, fall outside the NJC's mandate and depend on separate legal processes initiated by competent authorities. The Council's decision further emphasized the principle that jurisdictional defects are fundamental. A court acting without jurisdiction cannot produce legally sustainable outcomes. This principle guided subsequent institutional reviews and training programs within the judiciary. The removal also affected judicial records. Decisions delivered by Justice Omotosho remained part of the judicial archive but became subject to review where jurisdictional issues were raised on appeal. Each case would be addressed individually by appellate courts based on applicable law. In administrative terms, the NJC updated its registry to reflect the change in judicial status. Benefits, entitlements, and post-service considerations were addressed in accordance with applicable rules, subject to the terms of removal and relevant regulations. The judiciary, as an institution, treated the matter as a disciplinary precedent rather than a political event. Internal memoranda focused on procedural compliance, statutory verification, and jurisdictional safeguards. The aim was institutional correction, not public commentary. At the appellate level, courts reviewing related matters were guided by established legal standards. Where a conviction or sentence is found to rest on an abolished statute, appellate courts possess authority to declare such proceedings a nullity, set aside sentences, or issue appropriate orders consistent with constitutional requirements. These determinations remain independent of NJC proceedings. The NJC's final action in the matter was to close the disciplinary file upon completion of removal. The Council's records reflected that due process was observed, fair hearing was afforded, and the decision was reached through established procedures. The broader consequence of the removal was institutional clarity. Judges were reminded that the validity of judicial authority depends entirely on the existence and applicability of the law relied upon. Where that foundation fails, judicial power cannot be sustained. By concluding the process through removal, the NJC reaffirmed its role as the guardian of judicial standards. The action underscored that errors affecting jurisdiction and legality, particularly in criminal cases, are not matters for informal correction but for formal accountability. With implementation completed, the NJC's involvement ended. Any further legal developments, including appellate outcomes or ancillary proceedings, would proceed within their respective jurisdictions. This marked the final stage of the NJC's disciplinary process: investigation, hearing, decision, and removal, completed within the framework of constitutional authority and institutional responsibility.
Oh yes, that is it. This our brother, he have explained everything the way it is. The British, they had the problem. They are the problem of this country. Not only Nigeria, but Africa as a whole. Go down to the history, and they go down to the countries. Those people, those men, colonized. They have been suffering from one thing or to another. There have never been any time that will have a breath apart from them that is in up. They have upper hand in anything, in any country they colonize or they colonized during those days till dates. And Nigeria, the reason why you are seeing many things happening today and nobody is talking is because of the father who believe that he's the owner of Nigeria have never one day speak against this injustice, this evil that is happening every day in the north, mostly in the north, though it's everywhere in Nigeria. Coming down to the history, the issue of Biafra, the British, they are the one who started that Ojukwu caused the war. No, Aburi Igbo caused the war. They are the people that first of all started it before other people start thinking of what that is going on in the country. And they see all those things, but they will never stop it. Instead of them to stop it, they will even join hand to unalive you. People that is a Christians, that is where it is getting even worse, because they don't even think if you're a Christian, if you're a Muslim, they used to go to the one who will support them with their evil plan. That is what is it. I would like your comment down below, like, subscribe, and share for everyone to see things happening in Nigeria. So thank you for watching.